I think we're live. Hi, everyone. This is Live Spiritual Saturday on IVM TV. You are looking at Plant a Good Seed podcast. I am Tish Oakley with Earth Monkey Energies, and my guest today is Hugo Cruz, who hopefully will be on soon. Yes, Hugo. Hey, there you are.
Tish, how are you? It's so good to see you.
Oh, it's been so long. It's wonderful to see your face. Let me tell folks just a little bit about you so they know a little bit, which doesn't at all tell who you are until you share who you are. But in any case, Hugo was born in El Salvador and began his life training and sales training trading watermelons when he was very young. Moved to the United States when he was 13, became a dishwasher at Bennigan's, and worked his way up to becoming a general manager. He's got such a great philosophy of life. And since then, he's done so many amazing things. He's had multiple businesses and careers and just keeps moving forward. Um, he's got so many great life philosophies. And one of them is the only way to be successful is to get up every day, work hard, and to do it gratefully.
Absolutely, and you couldn't say it any better. But there's a huge saying about do something you love and you will never work again. And I totally disagree with that theory because it takes work.
Yes.
To be successful. But at the same time, just because it takes work, that doesn't mean that you're not going to enjoy it. It is just, it's one of the things that you have to be persisting in life. You gotta, and it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, if you love your job, if you love what you do, it doesn't matter what it is. If you do it gratefully every day, I think you just live a peaceful, harmonious life. And at the end of the day, or at the end of your life, living in peace and in harmony and achieving the level of success that everyone wishes to their own right. That's what life is all about, to be inspired by your own achievements. And don't wait until somebody else tell you that you did a great job, because the only person that, you should be happy is yourself when you know that you did the best that you could, or whatever was it that you did. I mean, even if it was just planting a tomato plant outside in your backyard. So it doesn't really
Right. But that's exactly right. So, being successful really comes from within, doesn't it? It's not any type of external validation or, okay, I've done this now, so now I'm there. It's what you're trying to achieve with your soul's wanting to accomplish, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's, and most people define success as a monetary value. I don't define success as a monetary value. I believe that success is based on, many things, but most important is your happiness, your well-being, your health, but it never helps to achieve a good level of financial success. That's yeah.
Right. Never hurts. That's right. Because sometimes you've got to have that financial, you've got to have your needs taken care of. And money is a currency, unfortunately, but it is in the world. So you've got to have some in order to survive.
Well, I mean, I always believe that, when you at least have enough for you to support yourself and support the ones that you love, and it gives you a good sense of happiness, a good sense of being, content with your life. I read at some point of another in.
He's frozen.
Hello.
There you are. You froze for just a second. Yeah.
Tish.
Can you see me?
Hello, Tish?
Yes. I can see you.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Good.
Okay. I can see you. I can hear you. So I was saying one of the books that I one of the few books that I read, it says that the root of all evils is money. And, I totally disagree on that, because I think the root of all evil is not having money on your pocket, not having the means to support yourself, support your family. Um,
Wow, that's a
you know,
different perspective. But I think you're
yeah,
right, because that's what
yeah,
causes people to do some crazy things, right?
absolutely. That's a crime start, because people, they don't have anything. And, I'm not advocating for criminals to go and rob somebody for money. No, not
Right, right,
absolutely
right,
not.
right,
It's
right.
not what I'm just saying that uh, being able to support yourself, and I know it's difficult for many people around the globe. I mean, we are fortunate uh, that you and I live here in the United States, and we we do what we can do for work and for our monetary
Right.
needs. I have traveled around the globe, and it breaks my heart that people hustle. I mean, that's one of the appreciations that I have, and I've been so fortunate to have the opportunity to be in so many places in this planet. And I don't know if I share this philosophy with you, but I want to walk the earth. That's kind of my thing. I want to
Very
walk the
nice.
earth. And and at the same time, I want to meet, and I want to have a million friends. I want to meet millions all over
It's
the globe.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, walking the earth, the thing about you walking the earth, Hugo, one of the things that struck out to me when I first met you is that you listen and then you think. Like most salespeople that would come in my office, 25 years of salespeople coming in my office, just talk, 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 talk. And then when I talk, it's just a time for them to wait until they can talk again. Talk, 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 talk. But you're one of those people that you actually listen to what somebody has to say and then you apply it. So for you to walk the earth means that you will be open to all the different people and experiences that you find because you're going to listen. And in addition to that, I feel like almost every experience you turn into an opportunity. Like you shared a quote with me earlier about mistakes or opportunities in life. So you always find the opportunity and move forward with it. It's amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, you and I known each other for, I don't know, I want to say about 14, 15 years.
Yep.
And I remember coming to your office, and um, you were an aggressive manager, I think. Yeah,
Aggressive.
well, I mean, you were very firm, and I was just, I don't want to say I was sizing you out. I was just, I wanted to see what you were. And I remember sitting in your office that day that I really didn't say much. I kind of just heard what you said. And then I, but I realized one of the things that I knew the moment I met you is that you were very bright. And, um, and I have said that to you in many occasions, throughout the times that we know each other, and that I didn't think that you saw that in yourself, and I saw that the moment I met you that day, uh, but and I remember leaving your office having this vision of how I was going to approach you, because I just found you so full of life and so smart, and it was,
Wow.
yeah, and it was something that I think at the end of, I guess, at the end of, I don't want to say at the end of the week or the months, but at the end of your career with John Williams, when you were with John Williams, I think at that time I already understood your character, and I believe that you understood me, and it was something really wonderful, because I felt that we had so much in common, and we had the same theories, and it was kind of like like I was guitar for a minute, and then you were playing the guitar. I let you play the guitar, and you let me play the guitar, and we interchange ideas and thoughts. And we talk about the world, and it was just uh, I didn't think that it was gonna. One day when I show up in your office, I just want a job. I just
Yeah, right.
you know,
I just want to move some concrete.
yeah, exactly. I was not thinking that 15 years from today, but yeah, I saw this part on you that you was really smart, and I even talked to some of my friends when and I said, I met this purchasing manager at this company, and she was really smart, very sharp, but I just don't know if she really believes that she's smart and stuff like that, and that, you know, and look where you are. I mean, it's just I admire you're moving forward, stepping out of your comfort zone, and I think you have done a great job, and at the same time I think you have done a great job raising your son, and
Oh, Hugo, thank you so much. And it's such a, for someone like you to say that to say those things about me and say that, you play the guitar, I play the guitar. It's such an honor because I have always considered you one of the most not only intelligent, because, as we all say, knowledge isn't power until you use it and apply it. But not only are you intelligent, but you are able to take any situation. Like I remember the time you talked about the insulation and your partner wanted to be a subcontractor. And you're like, no, we're not going to be a subcontractor. We are going to move forward with it. You look and you think and then you put the spin on it about not just what you learned, but what kind of legacy you're going to leave has always been important. So let's talk a little bit about your quote about humanity is a domino effect. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. I think that well, a perfect example is what we are seeing right now with
Yeah.
COVID-19. um, we are, like it or not, we are interconnected to one another. I mean,
Yes.
that's, yeah, and there is no denying. I never thought that I'll see what I'm seeing right now with the whole planet Earth being, you know, uh, stuck in this
Right.
situation. And we don't know for how long we're going to be
Right.
in this situation. So therefore, I do believe that, you know, and a lot of the times, a lot of people, I mean, and this is one of the, that I am a true believer, and I want to make sure that people know this, that, I mean, we all are created equal, because even I was thinking about this morning, actually, because even people that have more money than the Catholic Church, they yeah, they're still the same as you and I. They don't have three eyes. They don't have,
That's
you know,
right, Hugo. Mhm.
they don't have four legs. I mean, they might have a four-legged friend, but they don't have four legs.
Right.
Yeah, so we all are totally the same, and and this is one of the, and also I was mentioning earlier to you that that, so yeah, it is a domino effect, because what affects
Mhm.
you affects me, and it doesn't matter whether you live here, or you live in China, you live in Thailand, you live in Russia, Alaska. It doesn't matter. I mean, that the Earth it rotates in the same air that I breathe. It's the same air that people in South Africa breathe, or in Botswana, wherever that might be. So
Exactly.
we are integrated. And I think trying to understand one another, and also the attitude when you meet somebody. If you have if you had the attitude that the person that you are going to meet you let them ex, you let them explain themselves, how they are and how they live their lives, and you take all of that information, and then you accept the fact that, I don't like apples, or and they might love
Yeah, right.
apples. Yeah. So, and that interconnection it goes such a long way in our lives and in the world as well too. Um, and and at the same time, I mean, I think this is the most amazing part that I find, that I've been lost in many places, and
Lost.
lost when when I'm traveling, and I usually rent a car, or sometimes I rent a motorcycle. It doesn't matter what it is, right? But I pull over and I ask people for direction, and it is, and if you ask, and I always ask, I always believe that I kindly, I try to be as humble as possible when I ask somebody out on the street to help me, and people has gone out of their way to even walk me to their house and pull out a map, and they said, this is where you are, this is where you need to
Wow.
go. Yeah, so it is amazing, the kindness that you find all throughout the globe. I mean,
Oh,
it's not just around the corner, it's not just your family, it's not just your friends and whatever. I think as humans, we are kind by nature. I just think that life make us being rude and nasty to one another. But I hope that it's not everybody, you know?
well, isn't that, so that is a really interesting thought because I've worked with folks that have said that people, it's an awful thought, but people are born bad and you've got to teach them how to be good. Your philosophy is people are born kind, and unfortunately, things happen that can change their base selves. Right? Can you hear me? You.
Tish, I can hear what you're saying, but you're getting cut off.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's you or if it's me. But I was just saying how awesome it is that you've got a different philosophy than most people, where you think people start off kind and then things happen. Now, somebody told me years ago that everything comes from either love or fear. So that would indicate to me that people have let fear get a hold of them and change that kindness and kind of protect and put walls around themselves, which is really, I think, what a lot of folks do. But it's awesome to think that everybody starts off kind and then something happens, unfortunately. And
Yeah,
so then
unfor-
that's our humanity, right? That's part of your whole point. Humanity is a domino effect.
yeah,
So our goal as stewards of the earth, which is time for us to do that. Hello, it's not up to some scientist in some laboratory. It's up to us as stewards of the earth and stewards of humanity, because as we were saying, the earth is part of humanity. It's time for us to take care of each other so that the kindness will grow and expand.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, if you approach any situation with, I mean, even on your relationship with your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, if you approach it in the sense that, you know, my thing is that, I mean, I do it all throughout. That when I approach something, I wanna make sure that at the end of my conversation, you are happy, or whoever it is happy, and I am happy that we accomplished something, because everything can be accomplished. Everything can be accomplished if we only put enough effort, to want to accomplish our desires, and having the attitude. And I believe that I have shared with you at some point or another that I don't invest any time on negative thoughts. I only invest all of my time and energy in positive thoughts. What makes me happy, and actually, happy is a big word that most people use. The reality is that, when I think about happiness, I always think about, uh, you know, I am content with everything I do.
Okay.
I'm really content with everything I do. And um, every time I think about things that make me happy, it's because I am truly content with my life. You know,
Mm.
and I want to be very clear, with you and everyone that may be watching us, that I don't live a perfect life. No, I being at the top of the world and I being at the bottom of the world. But but I think of the things that truly make me happy, and I invest maybe 0%, if there is such a thing, of things that make me unhappy. And yeah, true enough. I mean, I go through things every day in my life and throughout my, and throughout my life, things that have made me sad temporarily. I lost both of my parents, and that was very painful. I lost my dog, and that was very painful. But but when you actually, when you go through trials like that, it's an opportunity for you to reconsider what is the true meaning of your life. What make you happy, if we use the word, right?
Right.
And we start examining what makes us happy. I think it's a good point is to start content with where you are. But if you want to be happy, so you can start walking toward that goal, because happiness to me is like, whoa, I'm so happy about this. Yeah. It's exactly, like you're watching a sport and your team just scored or something, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that is I think that's the emotional height that we get from this huge rush that we get. But
You're
walking
right. I
toward
think,
that goal.
yeah, there's so many different definitions of happiness, and the fact that the emotions, and I'm going to go to the energy when you're talking about the rush, right? There's the rush happy, which is excitement, your team just won, or you just fell in love, whatever it is, whoosh, whoosh, all that excitement, right? But we call that happiness. But then we also call, when we're truly content, or in my terms, balanced. When you've got the balance in your life and you feel that you can, just like what you're saying, you can go in any direction, anything's possible. And now I'm going to bring up another quote that you've got about, what was it about being comfortable with the commitment. So again, when you're balanced, I think then you can make those decisions, like you say, to figure out, where I'm going. And then you have to find, so talk to us a little bit about how you figure out what to commit to.
Well, I mean, this is, and people said that,
Hey, Mark.
hey, Mike.
How are
People
you
say that
doing? I just pop in. Tish wanted me to pop in and say hello. I was loving your energy, by the way. You have such a warm
oh,
energy and such a wonderful energy. So I was really enjoying it and really enjoying some of these powerful quotes that you live your life by. Because I also believe in the power of quotes. I'm actually a big of all things, I'm a big cryptic quote person. I do cryptic quotes and things of that nature. And part of the reason I do that is because I find out new quotes that I did not know from famous people. Because cryptic quotes are those things in the newspapers that oftentimes are famous people's quotes. It might be Thomas Jefferson, it
Oh,
might be other folks, but it's usually jumbled up and you don't know what the quote is until after you figured it
figure
out.
it out.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the opportunity that your channel and Tish has given me. I was thrilled when she invited me, to the show. And I'm like, I was really nervous early because I never been on a real show. Person
You're awesome.
but
But
yeah.
Mark, let me clarify though, those quotes, those are Hugo quotes. Those
No, that's
aren't.
what I said. I said those were quotes of his. I was saying that the quotes that I like are sometimes quotes of other people, but I knew those were Hugo quotes, and they were quotes that
Yeah,
he came up in his own life.
exactly. From his experience and how he lives his life. It's just amazing. Like one of the first times we got together, and he said, I just don't waste my brain cells on negativity. I was like, what? You can do that. You can choose what and it just, he's always been so illuminating to me.
I don't know. And, to that point, long time ago, I mean, all throughout my life, I grew up in a farm, and I'm pretty sure that in the introduction, Tish mentioned so. And so my parents were farmers. My mom, her business was, cheese, milking cows and cheese. And my dad was, harvest the land. But I always believe that, when you have a vision in your life, but also, let me also be clear, because I don't want to sound like I'm perfect about everything. I have gone through everything all throughout my life. I always knew I wanted to do the best I could, not to impress my friends or anybody. That was never. I just wanted to be comfortable, and I want to go back to what Tish's point was early about um, the excitement and commitment and being passionate. I think we're talking about being passionate about life and certain causes. People are passionate about saving dogs, and people are passionate about their football team or their soccer team or their flag or whatever. You know, uh, I, I'm not passionate about things. I am content about things that I do, but because once you're content with things that you do them consistently, and then you're committed to it, and you don't force yourself. Because I think when you're passionate, well, I mean, and I'm not taking the word lightly, but passionate, it requires commitment, total commitment. And being content with you also requires commitment, but it's something that the difference is in my life is that, when you're content and you do something for a commitment, you do it gratefully, and you do it also very comfortable. You do it out of the comfort of your own life. You don't do it because you're obligated, or you're socially committed, or you're afraid that people will say, oh, you're not doing things like you say you would do. Right? I don't know if it makes sense.
You're talking about external validation. We don't do the things we do for external validation. We do it because of what lives inside us and what we're driven to do is the real purpose of behavior.
Oh, absolutely. I don't. I mean, I totally agree. But just to be back to the point of being comfortable with what you do in your life is something. Once you're comfortable with what you do in your life, and of course, I am the kind of person that. And thank you for saying, Tish, that I was smart. I don't consider myself smart. I consider myself. I work hard. And I'm always open to learn from anybody and everybody. I'm always, Neil Armstrong, said, that this is a big step for mankind, and a big, his quote, going to the moon.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has their big steps. And for me, it's getting up, opening the door, and taking the first step outside every morning to go and do what I do in order to be successful on my own right. My level of success is not your success, but everyone. I want everyone to know that success is what make you comfortable, and what you're content with, and that's, that's. I think once you reach the level of being comfortable with your own self, with what you do and what you have reached the pinnacle of happiness, if that's such a thing.
So you're saying that's beautiful. So you're saying that once you have accepted yourself and become comfortable with who you are, which is also figuring out who you are, comfortable in your own skin, then that's one of the true measures of success.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that's awesome, Hugo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then you move on. All throughout.
Move on.
Then you move on to something else. But all throughout my life, I have read that many books. I listen to the books, and like I said, I mean, just because I never seems to have enough time, but I think I listen better. And I learned reading really early in my life. The power of achievement and all of those things, and believe in yourself, and it takes time. When I met Tish, I was on the top of the world, and 3 years later, I lost everything in my life. I was a homeless. I slept in my car for a year. But the thing, I always knew that it was only temporarily. That was nothing going to be, that it was going to last. And I never lost the hope, and the belief in myself that, and my dad used to have this, and my dad, and I actually told Tish this morning, there were two things that my parents said to us. My parents empower us. And my parents were not, they were farmers. They were, humble people, hardworking people. And I love both of them for that reason. So my mom used to say to us, whenever we couldn't do something, and my mom would be like, "You're not a son of a stupid woman. You go do it, figure it out."
Right.
Used to say that, and then my dad used to say this, and this is the words that I was kept, from there. And my dad would say that there is no illness that will last 100 years, and there is no human that will withstand that illness for 100 years. So some point of another, one or the other will have to happen. Either you get better or you die. But I always figure I will always survive and move on. And all throughout my life, until the time I was 23, I worked in a restaurant, and I worked hard. As Tish in my introduction, I started washing dishes, and I always had this. And this is the thing that I didn't want to tell you, because I didn't want to tell you too much earlier today.
Good.
I have this metaphor that I walk. Just picture this: a basket around my neck, big basket, and that is the basket of opportunities. I always walk around with this basket around my neck, and that I call the basket of opportunities. So whenever a manager, when I was employed, will say, "Hey, do you want to work tomorrow?" And I will say, "Yes." And I had the basket always open. And when my manager said, "Hey, do you want to be a bartender?" And I have the basket ready. You always have to have this imaginary basket around, right in front of you. And that's the basket.
Awesome.
The basket of opportunities in life. And I recently read this great book, and I didn't read it. I keep saying read it, but I didn't. And it's fascinating because it's almost every 20 years I come into a book that it really spins my brain. And in this book, it talks about what we don't know yet. It is invisible to us. Mm-hmm. So therefore, we have to have our mind always open. And so going back to the basket of opportunities, everyone should always be ready, because opportunities are there for everyone in the world. Not just me or anything, but you have to be ready. You have to be always open-minded and having, but the beauty of things sometimes is that when you least expect the opportunities, they are there. And, you got to jump onto those opportunities, and they can be health opportunities, new relationships, new friends, new business adventures, a new job. Yeah.
Hugo,
and you had said, what's that, Mark?
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious. Hugo, I'm just curious. How do you try to pass that kind of like flavor and that kind of attitude on to other people? Because I oftentimes find that a lot of times, and I agree with you, that we don't always do that opportunity kind of like insight, that we don't always believe in the opportunity even when it's there for us. So I was just wondering, how do you encourage others to do that? Because I do oftentimes find that a lot of folks, they may have the opportunities, they may have the chances, but they oftentimes put their own roadblocks. I know I've even been guilty of it, their own roadblocks in the way of getting that kind of like discovery. So they stop and don't even give themselves the opportunity to have that true opportunity, whether that's, like you said, an opportunity in a relationship, an opportunity in a career, an opportunity in a job. And to me, I differentiate between jobs and a career, because a career is something that you're passionate about, that you really want to do. A job is oftentimes something that you do to pay the bills. So that's my differentiation between career and jobs. But I was just wondering, how do you encourage others to have this kind of attitude that you have. And then just really quickly, I wanted to add real quick, I have found that some of the best people that I have ever met in terms of having knowledge, and by the way, I do think that, like Tish, that you're very smart because I'm hearing you and I'm hearing your conversation. And so I've oftentimes talked to people that have gone through things like homelessness and things of that nature, including some of the restaurant workers. I live around the corner from some restaurants near here, near Duke's campus. And I can tell you that oftentimes some of the smartest people I have found are folks that are in those kind of situations. Life has given them these kind of insights, and they oftentimes are willing to share those insights. And sometimes we as a society brush them off, thinking that because they've gone through whatever they've gone through, in some cases they might have some mental things that are going on in their body or whatever, but we brush them off. But if you actually listen to them, quite often they have some amazing stories to tell and also some amazing insight.
Oh, absolutely. I try to, anytime that I try to inspire people. I tell them my story. And not, in my story, I want to be really clear. It's not about the financial part, but financially have achieved more than I thought I will ever achieve. But I have achieved in my life, I don't want to say happiness. I would say being truly content in my own body and in my own life. And so, but going back to your question, I try to inspire people, and when I see talent, and when I see and when I see someone that is driven, and when I see someone that is trying to do something for themselves, I encourage them to do one thing. And actually, and this is the thing that I truly believe, that there's some, I run into, before COVID-19, I spent a lot of time, Fridays I will go and enjoy a glass of wine at my local bar, my local restaurant, and I will have conversations with the bartenders or the person next to me, and I try to encourage them. I wouldn't say encourage them, but I always give them tips that, for example, one of my favorite people that I go and visit, in this bar, Sam, and he has like an amazing attitude, totally an amazing attitude. And when I come in, he's always, and I always say to him, like, what are you doing in this place? Because that was a question that once someone asked me when I was a bartender. And he said, what are you doing in this place? You could do a million things in your life, but I didn't know what they were talking about at that time. I was only 23 years old, 24 years old or something like that. So I couldn't do it. So I try to inspire people, and I try to give them guidance. And I say, if you ever need any help on any kind, I'll be glad to talk to you. I have two nieces, and one of my niece, they're my older sister's daughter, and the oldest, Vanessa, chose not to go to college because of her own choice, and I understood. I never wanted to go to college. It was not for me. That's kind of how. But my younger niece, her name is Randy. Since 12 years old, I have been mentoring this girl to really do great in life, and she's a really smart kid. And just recently, last week, she entered a competition in the state of Virginia. She lives in Virginia, to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech had this essay project, and so you have to write this essay. And there were, 2,000 students, I think, or 200, or I think it was about 2,000 students that entered this essay. And it was really beautiful essay, the way that she wrote it, and very smart. So anyway, story short, she won first place in it. And I have,
That's awesome.
She won first place, and she won a $15,000 scholarship from Virginia Tech. But it's somebody that I have encouraged in her life to do the best that she can. I have, 20 years ago, and this is another story that I think I'm very proud of this story. I was dancing. I love dancing. I was salsa dancing, and I met this young woman, and she's a physical therapist at Johns Hopkins University. And to me, that was very successful, person, but she didn't feel successful. But, and at that point, that was early in my successful career as a real estate person. I mean, as a real estate salesperson. And I was investing in properties in Maryland, in Baltimore, in DC, and Virginia. And I got to know her in her personal level. And I always said, you should, for what you know. And he told me all of these people that he treated, and I said, you should start your business and you should do really well. And today she has two practices, one in Baltimore and one in Florida. And when I talk to her, she always tells me that I inspire her to do the best that she could. And to me, I think I did. I don't believe I did anything. But Mark and Tish, I don't know if you ever read this book. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki. It's a great book. And in that book, the author talks about having heroes. And the reason that it is important to have heroes is because heroes make it look easy. I have my heroes. Yeah, I have my heroes.
I forgot that part of the book, but that makes so much sense because they're the ones that show you it can be done.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And if I make things, I want people to know that anything in life is possible. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is or who you are or where you are or where you were born or whether you were born wealthy or poor. I come from the nothing. It only takes just a little bit of discipline. I am an advocate of being disciplined about life, about the things that I do. Discipline is something that doesn't come overnight.
Right.
I have gone, the road less traveled, and I haven't always taken the road less traveled, put it that way. But I come back to the fork in my life, and I taken the road less traveled. Realizing that the road less traveled, you're in the road less traveled, and then come back. Yeah, it is a setback in your life, and you can walk it back to where you need to begin again. And it's just beautiful once you start to feel that you're back in this place where you want to walk your life,
But I think
I don't.
each time you choose a path that you talk about, going back, and it's almost like, do you go back or is there another fork in the road? Because anytime you learn anything, it's not like you go backwards, right? Because as long as you learn, no matter what fork you take, what path you take, then you continue to move forward as long as you're learning and applying it, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm not saying, go back when you were a child, but you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's, once you realize that you're not in the right path in your life, then you can make a change. And change is not easy, as you probably, Mark, you truly both know. I know change is not easy.
Because the thing I was going to ask you, Hector, and that's just a real quick question. I hope you don't mind me asking this, Tish, and everything is, I'm also a big blues fan. I mean, it's not what I do here on IBM TV, but I do a blues show on a local station in Carlboro, and have done a number of blues programming. And blues is always talking about the crossroads and us coming to the crossroads. And it seems to me that what we've had happening because of the virus and what's going on in the world is we have reached a collective, and I mean a worldwide
Yes.
collective crossroads. And I was just wondering what some of your thoughts were on that, because it seems that we've just got a collective crossroads where a lot of people around the world are trying to like reassess
Yes.
who they are, what their purpose is, and are having to imagine what their life will be like, both when the coronavirus is ever contained or how it's contained, but also how it will go on moving forward.
Oh yeah, I mean, I truly believe that we have, you know, and this is the thing that for me, this is the basket of opportunities that I
Yep.
have, is that we have a great opportunity to not just beat this virus, but and also a great opportunity for the whole entire world to work on one purpose, you know, and the one purpose is containing, this virus, and that's number one, right? Containing the spread. Secondly, as an individual, everyone around the globe, we should do our part, and the number one part is wearing a mask when you're in public, because it is truly very selfish of anybody not wearing a mask and not having the consideration for others. That is like the basket of opportunity. That's the opportunity that we have today, to know that someone in China, someone in Argentina, someone in Alaska, someone here, we all together, like the domino effects, that we all, together, we can actually do it all together and be successful at it. But it will not only take you, Mark, or Tish, it will take all of us to have that opportunity to be able to be mindful of others. And also, I truly believe in the scientific world, that at some point or another they will come up with a vaccine. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, but at the same time, they're developing treatments to at least help us, survive if we ever get infected by the virus. The other thing too that I'm hopeful, that everywhere in the world, for the future pandemics, we learn our lesson to truly at the very beginning of any pandemic, of any virus or any outbreak. Because I think that even though some countries were very proactive and some have not been very proactive about the containment and the most important thing, I think, is educating the public. I think ignorance plays a huge role in, and not just here in the United States, but around the globe. We were not informed properly, but at the same time, people didn't know anything about, scientists didn't know much about it. I think, 6 months later, we have a better idea of what this is all about, So I think, for me, I believe that is the opportunity. And we also have seen how kind and how wonderful we are all together in this planet. Mark, I get this question asked a lot, and people ask me, where am I from, every time, and if I will collect money for every time they ask me that question, I'll have several $100s in my pocket. But I always tell them that I am planet Earth. I am from planet Earth, right? And I replies to them, where are you from, right? And sometimes they just laugh and they don't have anything to say, because I have a all year round 10, that doesn't mean that I'm on the planet. We are all the same here. I consider myself, I am a globalist. I see everyone here in this planet. I don't see myself that I'm special, that because whatever, I mean, we are all the same. And it's amazing when you interact with people. I visited Russia and during the World Cup 2 years ago, and I had such a wonderful experience with the local people in Russia. And I was in Thailand some years ago, and it was the same thing. It seems like I connect with people very easy because I love to listen to what they have to say, what they're. I mean, and everyone is different, I don't know, Mark. In the Uber time, I used to take the share Uber because I love to meet the people that share the car with me, and you meet so many interesting souls, and it is amazing. Once you're, and I always say, we have something in common. We're like Uber. We're riding Uber. I mean, we have nothing. At least this is a good beginning of how you can establish a relationship with people, and just knowing that at least I make somebody laugh or I make the difference on somebody's life.
Well, to put it in energy terms, what you're talking about is you connect. You don't let artificial boundaries, whether it's skin color, hair color, gender, where you're from, what kind of upbringing you have. You don't let any of that come between connecting with other people, which is let's go back to your million friends. So that feeds totally into you having a million friends. And I love that thought, and walking the earth and having a million friends. So I'm just curious, do you have any idea, like, you counting for real, or you're just
I don't. I truly don't. But every time I step out of my house,
Yeah.
I try to make a connection. I do my morning walk now from COVID. I can go to the gym, so I do my morning walk, and I say hello to I say hello to everyone, and I start a conversation with people about their dog, their yard, their anything. And now, I'm not. To me, this is not a popularity contest, right? To me, this is simply. I want to show the world that there is kindness here in this planet. You just have to be open to it. And so that is one, that's part of my, I want to have a million friends. And I'll tell you one thing. Every place that I gone, I left tons of friends that I have come back several times, and I visit and I reconnect with those people. And I have met other people, during my travels, and I still connect with those people. And, this was a great opportunity during COVID-19 for me to connect with people in Spain, people in Canada, people in Alaska, people in Florida, people from all over that I have, I connect with them. I check with them to see how they were doing, how things were in their county, their city, their country, what is their government doing about it? What are you doing about it to stay safe? And it was really a great opportunity to reconnect with all of those people all throughout that I had met all throughout my life, I think it was really, it gave me the time, because since we were not doing anything and still not doing much, it gave me the time.
Tish, I hate to tell Hugo this, but he's actually increased his amount of folks, because he said he wanted a million friends, and I know that Ankit is oftentimes talking about the fact that one of the places that we air to is where Ankit is from, which is India, and India's got 1.53 billion folks. So he's already increased by the billions the amount of folks because of being on IBM TV. So he's already well toward that million, maybe even into the billions, because I know we're worldwide. We're definitely here in the United States, but we also have folks that are watching and listening from places like India, Australia, South Africa, all over the world. So I think that you've probably exceeded it just by getting into Ankit's network and everything. So just wanted to share that with you. But I also have to tease you about something, because I also have a lot of friends, and I also love to connect with people and do things of that nature. I consider myself to be a connector and things along those lines. So I can relate to what you're saying about being a connector. Unfortunately, some of the platforms in social media don't like you to have too many friends, because they've actually I've reached that limit, and they've been like, "Oops, you got 5,000 friends. You've got too many friends, so you got to start another account." I know that Tish has got a couple of accounts too, so she knows what I'm talking about. And I was also glad to hear you talk about Uber, because I know that Tish knows this, but the show that was on before us, our good friend Zach is a musician, but he is also an Uber driver. So oftentimes is out there meeting people around by being an Uber driver here in this area.
Oh, that is fantastic. That is fantastic. And thank you, Mark. You know, I find your character, your energy very soothing, very mellow. And, you know, this is something comfortable about your personality. And even though we are only, you know, we're not face to face, but it's something very soothing, very comfortable. And, you know, you project that energy to the world, I guess, in here. And, you know, going back to India is one of those places in my bucket list that I want to one day. I mean, I love their food. I mean, I love Indian food. I mean, all throughout. And it's one of those places that I definitely, it's in my bucket list. South Africa is also in my bucket list. Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah,
You know,
there's several places like that on my bucket list too. Australia, New Zealand, several of the countries around Africa, like South Africa, Kenya, definitely India, Pakistan. A lot of places like that are definitely on my bucket list as well. And I'm also picking up that energy from you as well. So I definitely find that you have that warm energy also. So I just wanted to let you know that it is a mutual admiration society. So Tish has brought us here on this platform. I've always felt that energy with her in the short time that I've known her. And Zach,
well, I mean,
no, he's a professional musician. The only thing with Uber is just like a little side gig and everything. Not trying to let that be his main thing.
well, there is nothing wrong with, you know, I like I said, I have humble beginnings. I was a farmer. I was a dishwasher. I was a cook. I've done everything in my life. And, you know, now I work in the construction business. There's nothing wrong with earning an honest living. I mean, that's just, it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, I sold watermelons, you know, when I was 9 years old in the side road of my parents' farm. And I am happy to say that I was the best watermelon seller. You know, I did a lot of deals in the side of the road selling watermelons, you know. And get this, picture this, Mark. I was only wearing shorts and no shoes, you know, so I didn't have a suit and tie selling watermelon. So it doesn't matter to me who you are as long as you are earning an honest living. And I think people should be comfortable with that. You know, I admire people, and when I go to other countries and I go to those supermarkets, I admire people that they're selling their goods in the street, and I try to support them. You know, when I buy something from them, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. I tried it. I laugh with them. I connect with them. You know, I ask them how it was made, how long it took, and all of those things. You know, I love when people just earn an honest living and do it gratefully. My thing to the world, you know, to people watching is do what you do and do it gratefully, and you'll be content for the rest of your life. And you'll have this commitment to doing what you do in your life, you know, you know, and being comfortable with what you do. There is no shame on what people do to learn an honest living. You know, I'm a true believer that and to the end, I think that is the pinnacle of happiness. You know, doing in your life what you do. It doesn't matter what it was, you know. So, but I truly appreciate the opportunity that Tish has given me and you, Mark, has given me, and I hope that you will invite me again. I have truly enjoyed this conversation. Tish and we used to take an hour lunch, and usually it was never enough. You know, we had to, you know,
That's right.
cut it short. Yes. Yeah.
I'm imagining the two of y'all in conversation, and I'm thinking like, even if it's scheduled to be an hour, it probably goes for 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours, and y'all are sitting there going like, we'll get done with the conversation when we're done with it, but the restaurant is probably ready for y'all to leave, and y'all are ready to their old expression, close the bar. Y'all are probably one of those that would close the bar.
Oh, absolutely. You know that they'll bring. I remember they used to bring the check. within 20 minutes after we were finished eating, and they were like, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" And the conversation, and this is the thing that I find, and I have found with people that have the same beliefs that I do, that with Tish, we have this connection, that the conversation never really ended, because Tish had this power of stirring something new in my brain, and all of a sudden my brain sparked something else, and we went into a different topic, and we went into another, and she just have that the spark on her, which I think is really sharp, that I truly admire. But you also ask really wonderful questions, Mark, and hopefully someday, after COVID, we'll get to meet, and just because your energy is very comfortable. And you know what, actually, I think to me is people's voice, and you have a voice that is soothing. It touches you in a way that um, I wanna have a conversation with you. And I think that's really the
Well,
the
it's
part
funny.
that I.
It's part of why I wanted Mark. I told Mark, if you want to pop on, that'd be great, because he's got such a great voice, and he does, I think, a really good job of putting the aspects of the conversation into a different question. So thank you, Mark.
Oh, no problem. Glad to do it. I did have one quick question. I was just going to ask Hugo, because you did say that you worked in the restaurant field and everything. And I was on another friend's show earlier today, and he was actually talking to somebody that won an agricultural award. And one of the things we were talking about, and this is kind of like one of those hard topics to talk about, but we were talking about the fact that, and I'll admit it, I'm guilty too. I actually just threw away some food that I probably shouldn't have, but too often we wind up throwing away perfectly good food and things of that nature. So I'm imagining it as somebody that worked in the restaurant field, and Tish as somebody that involved in just positive energy, that those are things that probably even bother you, just with the way that we sometimes, as humans, we talk about things that we should do better, that we waste food, because we go and we see the lovely watermelon, we buy the lovely watermelon, and we eat half of it. And then after a while, we look at the watermelon, it's like, oh, drat, it's spoiled. I can't eat any more of it. So I just feel that sometimes that's something that we as a society, and I mean a world society, have to work on. Because I know this gentleman was talking about that the way that, I think he's from India, the way that they look at it, the food is almost like a god. So if you're abusing that god, you're abusing like a spiritual connection that you have.
Oh, absolutely. I don't. I'm too. I don't throw food away. I mean, people sometimes give me stuff to eat, and sometimes, you know, and they're good friends of mine, or just that I visit people and stuff. I eat the food just because I've been fortunate enough to know how hunger goes on in other countries, and I, I hate the fact that, at least for us here in the States, we have huge abundance of food. I mean, it might not be great food, but we have plenty of it. I try to only buy what I know that I will consume. I'm conscious of not wasting food. And if I in my younger years, like I said, I mean, I have learned from many people. I've been fortunate in my life that I have come across really wonderful people that have taught me something. I was dating this young woman, and we were in Baltimore, and usually I eat everything that I order, just because I have the belief that if I order something, I'll eat it. I'm not going to waste it. But she only finished half of her meal. And we were in downtown Baltimore. And in the way back, she said, if you see a homeless, pull over. And sure enough, there were, at that time, there were plenty of homeless in Baltimore. There was a homeless right around the corner. We pulled over, and she gave him the doggy bag that we were bringing home.
Nice.
And yeah, and to me, I learned that if I don't finish my food, either I'm going to bring it home and eat it. Most of the time I eat it because I'm always hungry. But I don't have a problem, giving people. I see a lot of people in the corner and uh, asking for money, panhandlers, and I believe that I don't believe in giving them money. I give them food, I give them water, I give them um, something that I know that it will be for them. Uh, because a lot of the times, at least the homeless that I see, they're drug addicts, and I don't want to support their hobbies. I mean, their addiction. I
Right.
would say.
Right.
Um, everyone chooses to do what they do for their own reason. I mean, and everybody falls in hard times due to whatever reasons. And like you said earlier, Mark, sometimes there's some mental issues that people do have, and and it's very difficult for them to come out. I mean, it is sad. It's a sad um, part of our lives and our society that we have to see people, being in the street, and some people are genuine. I believe that they're genuine, that they don't really have anything. But I think some others, they make a career out of panhandling, and they don't want to go back to, because it's just easy for them. I don't have a solution for it. I really haven't think about it a lot. But it breaks my heart to see really young man, very strong physically, in the side of the road asking for money and stuff. And I don't want to be judgmental of any of them, but I usually carry water in the summertime in my cooler in my car. I keep some water, and if I have an apple, like an orange or whatever, I give them what I can for them to sustain their physical ability. I know it is a very small portion. That is something that I'm not so called passionate about it. And it breaks my heart, but I have no solutions for it. Unfortunately, um, it is a problem. Hunger is a problem worldwide, and I see it every time that I gone any place whenever I have travel, and I try to support families. Anytime I go, I you know I like good food, but at the same time I stop by and buy fruit and buy all of this stuff. I was with my niece in Peru, and we went to the supermarket, and I always bought from people that not a lot of tourists were buying. We were buying some really great fruits, stuff that they were selling that they were just sort of like, to me, these people probably sold, $1.50 a day, but they were
Wow.
able to support their family.
Oh,
And I can
wow.
only imagine, well, I mean, because things they were just not very, expensive, and selling, a few mangoes a day, plus, a watermelon or a cantaloupe, But I figure that even if I spend this money, at least they will support their families today.
Yeah.
I make the difference in their lives. I mean, that's just kind of how I see it. And Mark, I know that people in the restaurant business, and I spend 20 years in a restaurant, and I love the restaurant. When I worked in the restaurant, I enjoy every moment. And when I was a bartender, the people sometimes didn't tip me, and sometimes people tip me $1, they tip me $2, and whatever. But all of those dollars and quarters that they left, it really made a difference in my life. I was able to pay, my rent. I was able to feed myself. I was able to buy gasoline for my motorcycle, and all of those things. And I'm forever grateful. And I never really complained. This is the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about this morning, Tish, that we couldn't get to it. Uh, the thing that I think that complaining about life doesn't get us anywhere. Complaining about life doesn't really get us any. It hasn't get me anywhere. So I learned a long time ago not to bother with complaining about anything. Um, I accepted the fact that this is life. That these are how things are today, and deal with it. And I told
And
Tish
get
earlier
your
this.
and what's that?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was
No,
going to
no,
say,
and
and get your basket of opportunity out, right?
yeah, exactly. But remember what I mentioned to you, that what um, my mom used to say, that, or my dad, I'm sorry, used to say that once you're in the
Yeah.
horse, you have to ride it, right?
Yeah.
And we are in the horse of life. We have to take it the way it comes to you. And there's some days that you have challenges. There are days that I have challenges. I mean, and that's just part of living. I mean, life is not perfect. And I think if you want to achieve perfection, I think you achieve perfection when you're no longer here in this earth, because nothing happens once we are gone. you know
That's a
so there
lot.
is no perfection. Yeah, there is no perfection in life, but you can always mold to the situation that you're in the daily basis. So in the daily basis, or in your life, whatever life brings to you, you have to mold yourself to reach the other side. you know I mean, there's so many great opportunities that life brings you once you have the mentality that, hey, it is tough. I mean, and I'm not going to deny it, and I'm not trying to say this, that, oh, life is happy go lucky. No, absolutely not.
Right.
But having the positive attitude, and planting those seeds of positive attitude in your life, projects to others that it is possible. If this guy can do it, you can do it. If that's kind of what I want to let people know. I mean, I usually do things gratefully. I don't complain. I mean, I don't remember the last time I complained about anything. I don't want to complain. I don't want to feel like I'm complaining about anything in my life, because I've been really fortunate, and that life has given me more than what I expected.
Well, I think, Hugo, it maybe started way back on the watermelon, when you're selling watermelons, that your life, this is how I've always thought about you, and your philosophy is your life is, I mean, it sounds so contrite, but your life is what you've made it. You are the captain of your ship, and you think about what you listen, you think, and then you decide what action you're going to take, and you move forward. Nobody else controls your life. You've got that opportunity basket, right? And you're just
Yeah, absolutely.
filling it up and then deciding where you're
Yeah,
going to go.
yeah, and actually, to the point, Ish, and I mean, this is actually a good point, and it kind of reminds me of my other philosophies in my life, that I contemplate my ideas. I do a lot of contemplation on my ideas. They play in my head a lot, and are ideas that it can be. Um, and it's just, I mean, and I want to be very clear, it's not all about monetary. My ideas is like health wise, like I've been, I mean, lately, and just to give you an example, I've been thinking that, obviously, I like to believe that I want to be very healthy. I want to eat healthy. I want to stay healthy. I want to, and for the sole purpose of, I don't want to grow old and be a burden to others because I'm not able to get up and do my own things.
Right.
So I was contemplating how I can start a good morning routine. I thought, well, maybe I will fast, what is called intermittent fasting. And then I said, well, but I'm always hungry, or maybe I will do this. But I contemplated the idea uh, for a while, and I decided that I'm going to start juicing. I'm going to buy fresh fruit and I'm going to choose. So, but it was an idea that I contemplated for a long time. But going back to my business ideas, I contemplated some of these ideas for years. And I told Tish a secret about me this morning. I don't write anything down. And the reason I don't write anything down is because of this. The reason I don't write anything down is because if it is important to me, I will keep it fresh in my mind. And what is not important to you, you will not remember. So the only ideas and goals in your life that you contemplate are the ones that are truly important to you. I mean, it could be health, relationship, wealth, whatever it is, business. So in contemplating contemplating your ideas gives you that sense of clarity. And I don't know if you can relate to that or follow me what I'm saying. Once you have clarity in your mind, the road is clear. There is no taking the less. There is no way that you will take the wrong direction. But a lot of my idea has taken me years. 10 years, 20 years, who knows? And when I want to go back to when I was young and when I first started, working at Bennigan's, because that's where I worked in this change restaurant. I always wanted to do something greater than I thought, and I always have this grandiose vision, but I didn't know what, and I didn't know how to. I was lost in my own thoughts, but I kept thinking and contemplating ideas, and it took me 20 years or maybe 25 years to reach a level of some sense and opening on my mind, and of course, that rocket went up so fast that it crashed.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but if anyone, has at this point in their life an idea, just keep working on it. Just keep thinking about it. But if someone just is searching, so this is what I wanted to say. I was searching early in my life. I was searching of what was it that I wanted to do, how I wanted to live my life. And it was a constant search. There were so many directions, and I was just lost. I didn't really have clarity. But because I was started to contemplate my ideas and contemplating what I wanted to do in my life and how I want to do it. That's when I got clarity. But one of the most important thing is wanting to do something is one thing, but taking your first step to initiation, it is another thing. And I think the most important about life, and it doesn't matter what it is, you have to take the first step. Yeah. You have to, you have to start moving forward because, action, otherwise you just have a wish, I don't want to sound cruel or harsh about it, but there's no other way about it.
Right.
You have to have, you have to have the desire and then take your first step, just like an athlete, just like someone that wants to skydive. You really have to jump out of the plane in order to experience that rush. I have never done a skydive. I like to get on planes through the boarding port and get out through the boarding door.
There's stairs. There's carpet.
Yeah, you're not going to a good plane by falling out of it. I agree with you.
Well, Mark, totally. How are we doing on time, man? I think we're over time, huh?
We're over time, but it was such a lively conversation. I think that if y'all just want to wrap up, if Hugo wants to give some final thoughts, if you want to give some final thoughts, but we can definitely wrap things up. But I definitely was enjoying the conversation. Thought that Hugo was an amazing guest. Hopefully he'll come back and join us in the not too distant future because I was definitely enjoying his energy and his conversation and just all the things that he's learned in life, whether it was over there selling those watermelons or working in the restaurants or having the various
Right.
other kinds of businesses, even what he's doing in construction now. So definitely, I think he's a very wonderful person and can't wait to hear him back on your show in the not too distant future. Do you have any idea yet who you're bringing on next week?
Yeah, we're bringing on a warrior next week. His name is Stephen Waters, and he's writing a book about igniting the warrior within. So, and when you meet him, you can tell like Hugo's very contemplative, Hugo's very purposeful. The next guest, at least what I know of him, he's a warrior. You know what I mean? He's like, ah! He does aim a little bit before he shoots, but it's somewhat of a different energy, but the same, that he understands his purpose in this life and that he is going to serve it with everything that he has. So, but the message is there's so many warriors out there. There's so many people out there that have that blood,
Right.
but just like Hugo's done, you've got to channel it right in the right way. So, and that's all. Stephen has so much more to say about that, but you know, that's our message for next week is igniting the warrior within.
Sounds great. Sounds like it's been a great conversation. And I also agree, sometimes you got to ignite that warrior from within yourself also.
Well, that's part of what Hugo's saying. You got to take that, you know, you got to figure it out first. You don't go willy-nilly. Like in construction, Hugo, wouldn't you say most people shoot first, then aim?
Oh, most definitely. That's kind of how the world of construction goes for most people. Yeah, but
Right.
you know, just a final thought that I believe that any human in this planet is capable of doing wonderful things. Um, but this is, I think, it's important to have good parenting early in life. I was fortunate to have two wonderful parents that, you know, they didn't give me everything in my life, but they taught me two things: that hard work, dedication, and discipline. Actually, those are three things.
Yeah.
Here, you know, anything in your life, and you know, to anyone in India, Australia, South Africa that is watching, or whoever, wherever they are in the world, I just want to let them know that, you know, you're the person who decide where do you want to go. No one
Yes.
else. No one else can tell you different. I mean, it's you that you take your first step. You know, the giant step that you take out of your door. Make sure that it's giant every day. You know.
That's
So,
beautiful.
but thank you so very much for having me over. I truly have enjoyed the conversation, and I have enjoyed the energy from Tish. You know, Tish is a wonderful woman, and I adore that woman. It is fantastic, and your energy, Mark, is so soothing. It's so calm, so peaceful, and it's just a very kind. I mean, like I said, you are in that line of my million friends that I want to have in the world. You know what I mean? In the planet. Yeah. But thank you so much. And yeah, most definitely, I would love to be your guest again. You know, just keep me in the loop.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Hugo. Thank you, Mark. And thank you to IBM TV for allowing us to do this today.
Sounds great. And then we're going to wrap it up, and we'll be back next week with another exciting edition of Plant a Good Seed with Tish Oakley of Earth Monkey Energies. And she's just an amazing lady, and I look forward to seeing her guest next week. And if she'll let me, I'll pop in on that one as well.
Yay! Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. Have a great
And I
week.
have a good one. You
Take
too.
care.
Bye-bye.
See ya. If I can find my button.
Cool. All right. So that ended that one.